just take the bottom end, because I've put the boilie on halfway through, it's got a little loop that we can loop the boilie onto, and we loop it through. Okay, so we've got a little round stringer, and then what we do is we push the boilie through the other side, so it's exactly dead centre of all the baits. Trim off the tag end, and that's the bit we're going to use to secure the hair down. This is just taking it a little level further. You don't want to cast that and that ends up over the top of that. You know, you've got a very poor presentation. So I always tie down with the tag end of the quick melt, so you're not using a massive amount of it, onto the shank of the hook. Literally, it's easier when it's on your rod. It's a bit more difficult to show now, but just one loop, just to hold it in place while you're casting it. And you can cast this into silkweed, into weed, anywhere you want, flat bottom, and that will help you. It helps anti-tangle, and what it does is I always feather the rod down. Wherever I cast, I feather the rod down, no matter what, you know, what bottom it is. I feather it down so that the rig is always going down and dropping. And where it's, you know, this is going to be about 10 inches long, it's generally going to curve, and I've done it in the edges and I've seen it work, and it generally curves, and it gives that rig a little element of travel. The movement of big fish is totally different than a small fish that's, you know, not upright in itself, moving along very quickly. Once that's in the water and the PVA is dissolved, it's very difficult to make out which one's a hook bait. So if it's difficult for a human to analyse in that process, it's going to be a hell of a difference for a carp. Generally they just come in, snuffle the whole lot, find out he's hooked. You've got your aggressive hook, and that has caught me over 100 English 30s, and that proves that rig is a very big fish rig. It's probably all I've got to say on it. You know, it's a very, very good rig. Using it in conjunction with the power link, it'll catch you a lot of fish. Okay, right, well, the clever chaps at Ultima have produced, as far as I know, the first zig of floater fishing line, designated floater fishing line on the market. This stuff's very, very unique. It has a hollow core, so it will always float. When you're floater fishing, absolutely imperative that you don't have a sinking link. And this stuff will catch an awful lot of fish all the way over the world. Very, very unique product. I'll show you very, very quickly. It's, again, you've seen the basic complicated rig. Literally, you're tying on a little loop onto the end of the power zig. Trim off your tag end. I'll show you with one piece of corn just to make it quick. All we're doing, lassoing the bait on, as you can see from the two colours. I quite like using two colours. It's something different. Most people will probably use, you know, one colour. You could even put the corn on the other way, and that's probably how I would normally fish it. You take off your required length for your power zig, using a very small out-turned eye hook. In this case, it's a size 8. Through the back of the eye, take the power zig, and then pull it down towards your designated hook bait, whatever it will be. Have quite a short hair. Makes it a little bit tricky in tying, once you've got the hang of it, tying the actual basic complicated. But I go 4 turns on a zig, and then underneath 4 turns. This one's even closer, and this is probably how I would fish it rather than the longer hair. It's all fingers and thumbs when you're doing zig rig, but that is zig rig fishing. But there are days when it's the only method, and it's caught some of the largest carp in the country, in England at least. That's probably how I would fish it, very close to the hook bait like that. Just literally, carp takes hold of it, it's hooked, and that is the power zig line. Very, very unique product. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Stays floating, it'll keep your hook bait floated, it'll catch you a lot of fish. Absolutely blinding product. Right, moving on with carp rigs and technology and the forethought that's gone into this particular rig. I come up with this rig probably, I'd say 6 years ago. After watching a lot of carp in the edges, how they get rid of rigs. I've called this one the hermit lead. It's a very, very clever rig, and it's the ultimate. I can't think of anything better than this particular rig. Now, it's using the power shock leader, which is going to be, it's got a permanent home in my tackle box, this product, and you need this for the hermit rig. I would normally have about 5 turns of this, so you're using an awful lot of it, 5 turns on the reel, so there's probably about 40 foot. But this is a shock leader with a difference because this is fluorocarbon, it will sink down. You use this particular rig, because it's elasticated, and I'll show you in a minute how we're elasticating it, but primarily what you've got to get into your head is that this goes straight through to the swivel, protected by the bead, which is quite important. I'll use the first contact beads, but you need a tough rubber bead, not the hard plastic, but a tough rubber bead. Because if you have a soft bead, once you cast out, the swivel can end up back through inside the bead, which affects the mechanics. But if you look at this, I'll put this on my hand just to demonstrate it. You've only got to move a few mil, and that's literally taking hold of my finger, and it starts to hurt after a while because it's pulling, the elasticity is pulling against, it's almost gravity, but it's not gravity, but it's all inside the lead, and hence why I called it the hermit rig. But it will catch fish right the way through the winter. This is when I really use it. But like I say, the power shock leader is probably one of the key elements, and also the tail rubber. What we've got inside here, the little tag end, and I'll demonstrate this in a minute. If I pull this rig, you'll see through there that the pole elastic is whipped on. And if you notice how far back it is, it's probably about just under 3/4 of the way up the tubing. So there's very little amount of pole elastic to do that job. And what happens, once the fish is hooked, if you get a really clever fish that tries to pick that up, that picks up the lead on its axis. So it will always get the weight of the lead, whatever way it's moving. If it's moving sideways, and once he's had enough, the fish has decided he's not going to get rid of this particular rig, he's going to bolt, that pulls out of the tail rubber. So you're left with a little tag end. The fish is, you're literally then onto a running rig. And basically you can fish your bobbins on the floor. It's very critical, don't fish this tight to the lead because the elastic won't be able to stretch then. So that's the rig null and void. You need to let the power shock leader do its job, lay along the bottom, have the bobbin on the floor. Once that's run, you'll get a little tiny flicker on the bobbin, then whack, you're gone, you're into a running rig. So, but the key element to this is the pole elastic and the shock leader, which, you know, it lays down flat, everything's out the way, you haven't got to worry about back leads, you don't want back leads on this. This is the whole point, you want your bobbins on the floor, nice slack, so you're not going to spook the fish. There's one mouthful to go at. You can still fish this over a bed of particle or boilie, and it will nail a lot of fish. And what I've incorporated, basically on the rig end, just a very open gaped rig with a tiny little kicker, little piece of tubing. I've been using the fang twisters on this particular rig because they do turn in very, very, very quick. They're ultra sharp. All you need is just literally the fish to move a millimetre of pressure away from the lead and it will do its job. So what I'm incorporating here is a new prototype braid from Ultima. This has got the sinking element, it will lay flat. You can see how nicely it's cooled round. They've put in a fleck to break it up. Most bottoms, whatever you're fishing over, will have elements of black in it. It will do the job. This one will be out in the new year. It's certainly another product for my tackle box. So I'm going to put this rig on and we're going to show you how we catch a carp on it. The key part to this, and the bit that I get asked the most, is the pole elastic and where it goes. Now you're literally going to do a 4-turn grinner knot and holding a very small tag end at the bottom. It's just literally a slip knot, like you'd put on pole elastic on, you know, if you're marking your line up or whatever. Just literally 4 turns, and then we're going to pull it nice and tight. It's a little bit difficult to work with pole elastic, but it will go into a knot. And then what we're going to do is slide it down. This is the hardest part that people don't understand, so I'm going to go slower on this part. We're tagging off the bottom, we're chopping off the tag end off the bottom. And if we can find the tail rubber, we're going to pull this through till we can just see it at the other end. And then trap the tail rubber on as not to pull that part back through. So what we need the knot about here, 3/4 of the way up the tubing. If you have it too close down here, when you pull it, the knot comes out and it can loop the leader. So you don't want that. The rig, once that happens, the rig won't work. So you need it literally further up here. So I'm going to slide this down, get hold of the power shock leader, slide it down, work it out finger-wise. That's perfect. And now we're just going to tighten that up really tight so it doesn't slip. Trim off the little tiny tag end almost to, you know, so it's so close so it doesn't get caught up in the tubing system and then pull it up. You can now take the tail rubber off and adjust your tension. So if we test the tension there, we can see it's working perfectly, absolutely perfect. That you can see just, I'm sorry if that's a bit quick, but that's how fast a carp can shake its head and he's gone on a normal rig. You know, you can throw your lead, and that's the idea of this particular rig. So we'll just put down the tail rubber, on it goes, chop off the tag end, and you have yourself probably what I'd consider, I've been into rigs for like nearly 30 years of carp angling. This has been the side that I've always been into. It's probably what I'd consider the ultimate carp rig.
So we're here with Will, owner of Combley Lakes. Beautiful carp fishery. We're here with the Ultima team doing a bit of filming. I understand also, Will, that you're the owner of the Isle of Wight Carp Company.
Yeah, that's correct, Pete. Yeah, we've been rearing carp for a few years now on the various rearing ponds we've got. We've just had 4 across the way and we're expanding. The objective was to start trying to produce some fast-growing scaly fish because we were finding them hard to obtain in the market at the time. So we started to breed fish from known 40s that have got there in under 10 pounds, sort of plainer fish. We've started to put very sort of heavily scaled males with these females and spawning. We've got some nice leanies coming onto the farm soon.
So I understand also you've got the Isle of Wight record here at the fishery.
Yes,
Steve was...
Marlene at 48 pound 8. We're very pleased to get that this spring. It's nice to take the record. And we also spawn her as well, so we've got some of her offspring available for sale. So yeah. We've now got fish to 20 pound, and we've got C1s, C2s, 3 C4s and C5s, the C being the season, C1's 1 year old basically. We've got some nice, nice scaly fish. We've got linears, zip linears, fully scales. We've got some plainer fish that tend to grow slightly quicker. We like to give them a healthy diet. We give them like maize, barley, wheat, soya and coarse pellet. We tend to try and stick away from trout pellet. It's the high oil content. We think it makes the fish fatty and slightly unhealthy. We know there's no chemicals. The fish are more stress-free and they tend to get better growth rates. And in this pond we've maybe put 100, 120 C3s going in at about 6 pound in weight possibly, something like that.
What would you expect to take them out at or harvest them out at?
Hopefully we'd harvest them out C4s in the winter. I mean, we'd like them to average somewhere between 12 and 14 pounds if we can, that'd be the target.
Well, they're stunning fish, Will. What sort of weight's that one, about 17?
Yeah, I'd put it about somewhere between 16 and 18, mate, something like that, I'd have thought.
Yeah, it's lovely fish. You can see they're in absolutely stunning condition, mate. They really are. Yeah,
so unfortunately today we haven't managed to get one of our very scaly ones to show you. There's still a nice fish with decent conformation, nice bit of length to it. Yeah, a few scales. You can see the star-bursting scales. We've got a few on there. I'll actually show you the other side. See a few of those scales.
Certainly looks like it's going to be a grower, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good fish for the future, mate, definitely.
I'll see you when you're 40 pound.
Yeah. Well, there'll be 5 next spring more, because it's a C5, so it's only 4.5 for the date. I mean, next April it'll be 5 years old.
It's got a good thick back. I mean,
yeah.
So, Will, these are the 40 pounders of the future. These are 1 year old fish?
C1s. They're probably, they were spawned sort of late this April, so this year, so not yet a year old, but.
Okay, so can we have a look at a few, because little baby carp fascinate me, especially when you get the scale patterns.
Yeah, well, you'll get to see some more of our scaly ones now, mate. Yeah. If we dip our hands in, just carefully try and feather a few to the top. Start to see some of the linears we have and more heavily scaled fish.
Yeah.
One of our bigger plainer ones. The bigger ones do tend to grow quite faster.
Oh, look at that.
You see a beautiful little fully scaled there.
Wow, look at that.
We've got some nice big apple slice scales as well.
Fantastic.
So it's nice to have sort of across the board, to get some plain fast growing ones and some pretty fast growing ones as well. But the plainer ones do seem to be the ones that really go there, But it's trying to get something of everything. So every fishery would like to have a variation of different looking fish, basically.
Yeah, no, beautiful. I think I'd like to take him home. He's beautiful.
It'd be lovely when that fish gets to sort of 30 plus. It'd be a sought after fish, wouldn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing them when they're on my unhooking mat a bit bigger.
Yeah, this time next year, hopefully they'll be a pound and a half. And
4 or 5 years' time, proper big ones.
Yeah, hopefully some of them will be pushing through 20 pound by then.
Fantastic.
We hope that this film has given you some useful information on how to improve your catches, utilising the benefits of the latest innovative thinking on rig design from one of the UK's most respected anglers. Ultima's dedication to innovation and development is well known, and it's this commitment that has helped to make them recognised around the world as being at the very forefront of line performance and technology. Ultima believe in giving anglers as much knowledge as they can, so there's much more in-depth information on all the rigs covered on this DVD on the Ultima website, plus a huge amount of additional information useful to all anglers, including comprehensive knot and line care sections, together with a search facility to find your nearest Ultima stockist. You will have noticed that throughout the film the guys have been wearing some of the items from the great range of Ultima clothing. These high-quality items are now available to purchase directly from Ultima's online merchandise store, and with a very special promotional offer for people who have watched this film. Go to the merchandise section of the online store, enter the promotion code PC2311 in the promotional code box, and you'll get very special prices, plus a free bonus item.
Right, okay. DVD sadly is coming to an end. Really enjoyed, being involved in the DVD and having, such an input on the rig side. Hopefully you guys, no matter what level of carp angling you're at, will glean some information. There's rigs for beginners, there's rigs for intermediate, there's rigs for hardcore carp anglers, showing you how to incorporate the products using the right sort of length hook link and the right hooks. And, generally, like I say, it's a funny subject, rigs. It's something that everybody's interested in. Whenever I do a show or, that sort of thing, that is the topic of conversation, and that's why we've put this DVD together. So hopefully in a format that you can follow and incorporate into your angling. Hopefully making your photo albums a lot bigger than they were and catching PBs. I'm certainly enjoying myself at Ultima, and I hope you enjoyed the DVD, and I'll see you on the next one, hopefully.